to cut people's taxes, and we have got to alleviate burdens on business. Angela Rayner and the Labour Party, Keir Starmer confirmed this earlier this week, they are going to put up your taxes by £2,000.
That's a lie.
By £2,000 per working household.
Penny, your government have raised taxes to the record level in 70 years.
Penny Mordaunt's political comeback, the Conservative fight against reform. Right. Before we dive into this absolute political powder keg, smash that subscribe button because you're about to witness one of the most crucial moments in modern Conservative history. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next on UK Connors. The Conservative Party is hemorrhaging. There's no sugarcoating it, no diplomatic spin, no Westminster waffle. When your own MPs are jumping ship to Reform UK and declaring your party over, you know you're not just in troubled waters, you're watching the Titanic rearrange deck chairs while Nigel Farage plays the orchestra. But here's where it gets interesting, because Dame Penny Mordaunt, the sword-wielding political phoenix who nearly lost her Portsmouth North seat, has just thrown her hat back into the ring with all the subtlety of a cavalry charge. Let's be brutally honest about what we're witnessing here. This isn't just another politician making a comeback announcement. This is a Conservative Party's equivalent of calling in the heavy artillery when the castle walls are crumbling. Mordaunt's decision to complete her application form for the party's candidate list isn't just about personal ambition, it's about survival. The woman who carried that sword at the king's coronation with the poise of someone who knows exactly where the jugular is located has looked at the current state of the Tories and decided they need someone who can actually wield a blade, metaphorically speaking. The timing couldn't be more critical, and frankly, more desperate. When Danny Kruger, a sitting Conservative MP, defects to Reform UK and essentially delivers the last rites to his former party, you know the situation has moved beyond damage control into full-blown existential crisis mode. Kruger didn't just leave quietly through the back door. He slammed it shut and declared the House condemned. That's not political maneuvering. That's a public execution of confidence. But here's what makes Mordaunt's intervention so fascinating and potentially game-changing. She's not just another establishment figure trying to prop up a failing system. This is someone who understands the visceral appeal of Reform UK, who recognizes why voters are abandoning traditional party loyalties faster than tourists fleeing British weather. Her comment about the public not caring if the cat is red or blue as long as some mice get caught reveals a political intelligence that's been sorely lacking in Conservative messaging. Think about what she's really saying here. The British electorate has moved beyond tribal party politics. They want results, not rhetoric. They want competence, not committees. They want someone who can actually deliver on promises instead of delivering excuses wrapped in parliamentary procedure. Reform UK has capitalized on this frustration brilliantly, positioning themselves as a party of action while Conservatives have appeared increasingly like the party of internal squabbling and strategic confusion. Mordaunt's sword-carrying moment at the coronation wasn't just ceremonial pageantry. It was a masterclass in political theatre that captured something fundamentally British about leadership, tradition, and unwavering composure under pressure. While other politicians were fumbling with protocol and looking uncomfortable in the spotlight, Mordaunt held that sword for what felt like an eternity with a kind of steely determination that made her look less like a ceremonial participant and more like someone ready to defend the realm personally if necessary. The question now is whether that same steely determination can be translated into the kind of political leadership the Conservative Party desperately needs. Because make no mistake, they are not just fighting Reform UK for votes, they are fighting for their very identity as a political force. When you're polling in third place behind both Labour and Reform, you're not in opposition, you're in political purgatory. Kimi Badenoch's leadership, while promising on paper, has struggled to capture the public imagination in the way that Farage effortlessly commands attention. Reform UK has mastered the art of appearing fresh and insurgent, while the Conservatives increasingly look like yesterday's news trying to find tomorrow's relevance. Mordaunt's return could potentially shift that dynamic, bringing someone with genuine star power and proven ability to command respect back into the fray. But let's examine the deeper strategic implications of this move. Mordaunt's near loss of Portsmouth North wasn't just a personal setback. It was canary in the coal mine for Conservative vulnerability in seats they should have held comfortably. If someone of Mordaunt's caliber and local recognition could nearly lose a traditionally safe seat, what does that say about the party's broader electoral prospects? It suggests that the Conservative brand has become so toxic in some areas that even their most talented politicians are struggling to overcome the headwinds. Reform UK's rise isn't just about Nigel Farage's personality, though his ability to dominate media cycles certainly helps. It's about a fundamental shift in how British voters view the political establishment. They've watched the Conservatives promise meaningful change for years while delivering managed decline. They've seen Brexit promise as liberation turn into administrative nightmare. They've witnessed economic promises crumble under the weight of reality. Reform UK offers something the Conservatives have forgotten how to provide: the appearance of genuine conviction. Mordaunt's challenge, should she successfully navigate her way back onto the front benches, will be convincing voters that a Conservative Party can rediscover that conviction. It's not enough to simply critique Reform UK's policies or question their competence, though there's certainly ammunition there. The Conservatives need to articulate a vision that's more compelling than Reform's populist simplicities without sounding like they are talking down to the very voters they are trying to win back. The electoral mathematics are particularly brutal, with Labour maintaining their lead despite their own challenges, and Reform UK consistently polling ahead of the Conservatives. The party faces a very real prospect of becoming irrelevant in British politics. Not just defeated, but genuinely sidelined as a historical curiosity. That's not hyperbole. That's the arithmetic of political extinction when you can't command enough support to be taken seriously as either government or opposition. Mordaunt's appeal to others to join her in completing candidate applications reveals an understanding that this isn't a one-person rescue mission. The Conservative Party needs an influx of talent, energy, and credibility that can compete with Reform UK's outsider appeal while maintaining some connection to the party's traditional strengths. It's a delicate balancing act between renewal and continuity, between acknowledging past failures and projecting future competence. The personal stakes for Mordaunt are equally high. Having come close to Conservative leadership previously and having established herself as a figure of genuine public recognition, this comeback attempt could either cement her status as a major political force or expose her as someone who misread both her own appeal and the party's capacity for revival. There's no middle ground in high-stakes political comebacks. You either succeed spectacularly or fail definitively. What makes this particularly intriguing is how it might affect the dynamics within the Conservative Party itself. Badenoch's leadership is still relatively new, but it's also struggling to gain traction against both Labour's governmental advantages and Reform UK's insurgent energy. Mordaunt's return introduces a potential alternative power centre within the party, someone with independent credibility who could either strengthen Badenoch's position through collaboration or potentially challenge it through competition. The broader question is whether the Conservative Party as an institution is capable of the kind of fundamental renewal that might make them competitive again. Reform UK's success isn't just about better messaging or more charismatic leadership. It's about offering voters something that feels genuinely different from the established political class. The Conservatives face the almost impossible task of appearing fresh and insurgent while carrying the baggage of 14 years in government that ended in electoral disaster. Mordaunt's sword-carrying moment at the coronation demonstrated something that's been notably absent from Conservative politics lately: the ability to project strength, dignity, and competence simultaneously. British voters respond to leaders who look like they could handle a crisis with aplomb, who could represent the country on the world stage without embarrassment, who could command respect through presence rather than just position. That's exactly what Reform UK has been providing through Farage's media mastery, and it's what the Conservatives have been notably lacking. The challenge is translating that personal appeal into broader party revival. Individual political stars can capture attention and win admirers, but political parties need coherent messages, credible policies, and organizational competence. Mordaunt's return is necessary but not sufficient for Conservative recovery. It needs to be part of a broader transformation that addresses the fundamental reasons why voters have abandoned them for Reform UK. The stakes couldn't be higher, not just for the Conservative Party but for British politics generally. A political system where Reform UK becomes a primary opposition to Labour would represent a fundamental realignment that could reshape policy debates, electoral dynamics, and governance approaches for decades to come. Whether you view that prospect with excitement or horror probably depends on your political perspective, but nobody should underestimate its potential impact. Mordaunt's intervention comes at precisely the moment when such decisions matter most. Too early, and it might have seemed premature or opportunistic. Too late, and it might appear desperate or futile. The timing suggests someone who understands political momentum and recognizes that windows of opportunity in politics don't stay open indefinitely. Reform UK's success has created a crisis for Conservatives, but crises also create opportunities for those bold enough to seize them. The British public's appetite for political drama and genuine conviction has been thoroughly demonstrated by Reform UK's rise and the Conservatives' fall. Voters want politicians who appear to believe in something beyond their own career advancement, who can articulate vision beyond focus-grouped sound bites, who can project competence beyond spin-doctored appearances. Mordaunt has demonstrated all of these qualities in different contexts. The question is whether she can synthesize them into the kind of political leadership that could revive Conservative fortunes. What happens next will determine not just Penny Mordaunt's political future, but potentially the entire trajectory of British politics. Will her return galvanize Conservative revival, or will it simply provide a more dignified soundtrack to their continued decline? Will other talented politicians follow her lead and rejoin the Conservative cause, or will her intervention prove that individual star power cannot overcome institutional decay? These questions will be answered not in Westminster committee rooms, but in constituency battles across the country where real voters make real choices about real futures. The Conservative Party stands at a crossroads that will define its next decade and possibly its ultimate survival. Penny Mordaunt has chosen her path. Now we wait to see whether the party and the country will follow her lead or continue down the road toward Reform UK's vision of British politics. Either way, the political establishment as we've known it is finished. What emerges from its ashes will shape Britain for generations to come. That's exactly why you need to stay tuned to UK Connors for the most incisive analysis of British politics as it unfolds. Subscribe now, because the next chapter of this political thriller is guaranteed to be unmissable, and trust me, you'll want front row seats for what promises to be the most consequential political battle of our time.